morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Nagaraju, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, specialization in Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. So today I am here to present a topic related to knowledge base, which is called as procedural and declarative knowledge. So in the earlier video, we have come across that knowledge is very, very important, and such knowledge representations will be of different types. So in today's session, we are going to see more clearly about what is a knowledge, what is an intelligence, and how this procedural knowledge is different from the declarative knowledge. And in the meanwhile, we are going to make a discussion about how this procedural knowledge is going to solve certain kind of artificial intelligence related problems, and how declarative knowledge is going to do the same thing. And we are also going to see with some kind of examples how this declarative knowledge is going to be differ when it compared to the procedural knowledge. So before moving into the further topics, let us try to see what are the concepts or topics we are going to study in today's session. That is, first we are going to concentrate on what is knowledge, and we are going to see what is the importance of such knowledge in the artificial intelligence. And later on, we will try to concentrate on showing the difference between the knowledge and intelligence. Why? Because these are the two different terminology we are going to see regularly while we are working with artificial intelligence problems. So, being a programmer or being a learner, we should supposed to have a clear understanding or a clear picture in order to know what is the difference that exists between this knowledge and intelligence. And also, we need to know what kind of whether the knowledge is useful or the intelligence is useful in order to write the AI programs, and also in order to exhibit the artificial intelligence behavior. And later on, we are going to see the different types of knowledge representations. In that, we are going to concentrate in today's session about this procedural and declarative knowledge. And at the end of this session, we will try to see an introduction to the logic programming. So let us move into the further, and we will try to understand first what is knowledge, and then we will try to come to the next topics. So we can say that if you talk about the knowledge, we can say that it is a kind of information about a particular domain. So what do you mean by a domain? You should supposed to know here. So what do you mean by domain means a particular problem area, we can say. For example, especially in artificial intelligence, if we talk, there are specific domains where these artificial intelligence are implementing a very lot nowadays. So we can say that these domains are either it can be related to medical industry, means like in the case of medical diagnosis, or in the medical treatment, or in case of agriculture, okay, or in the case of some regular activities, or we can say that normal problem solving activities, or sometimes we can say it is related to the mathematical theorems also. So here knowledge is nothing but acquiring the knowledge about a particular domain. Okay, so that's why we say that knowledge is the information about a particular domain. So we can say that acquiring of knowledge is nothing but having a information about that particular problem statement. So here, that's why we say that knowledge is the information about a domain. And why we are making concentrating on the knowledge? Why? Because this knowledge is going to be very much helpful for us in order to solve the problems. For example, think that I am trying to identify the shortest path between the given points. So in that case, I should supposed to have the knowledge. I in the sense, even the programmer need to have certain kind of knowledge, and later on that knowledge can be represented in the logical form, so that logical representation of knowledge can be used by an AI agent in order to solve the shortest path between the given points. So here means our primary duty, we can say, means before making an AI agent to train for a particular task, before that being a programmer's primary duty is they need to acquire the knowledge. Means we can say that in this entire process of problem solving in AI, we can say that knowledge acquisition is the first step. That's why we say that knowledge is a certain kind of information which we are going to make use in order to solve certain kind of problems related to a particular domain. So we can say that different domains, as we are saying that there are different kinds of domains. So in that case, we are going to see different kinds of knowledges. Okay, or otherwise we can say different kinds of informations we are going to see. Means based upon the problem domain what we are dealing with, we should supposed to acquire, means we need to acquire the knowledge related to that particular domain. Okay, so that is the knowledge. So in simple words, we can say knowledge is a collection of some kind of information which we are going to make use in order to solve a particular problem. So as a part of designing a program to solve such problems, we must define how the knowledge will be represented. So just acquiring the knowledge is not a big important thing. Why? Because knowledge representation is also very, very important. Why? Because here, until and unless you have a proper knowledge representation, you cannot convert this knowledge representation into logic. Okay, and once if you don't have the knowledge, you cannot convert this into prologue statements. So why we need these steps means the AI agent is going to make use of these prologue statements. The AI agent will never understand what is the knowledge you have collected and what is the logic you have represented. Means as a part of this problem solving, we should supposed to represent the knowledge. We should supposed to represent the knowledge in such a way that knowledge can be easily converted into the logical form. Why? Because here the knowledge what we are acquiring, means what the programmer is acquiring, that will be in English. So this English representation knowledge, by using some mathematical notations, we are going to convert into logical statements. So as we studied, there is a first order predicate logic is there. By using that first order predicate logic, we can convert this English knowledge representation into the logical representation. So once we have the logical representations, we will easily convert this one into the prologue statements. Okay, so these prologue statements will be given to the AI agent in order to exhibit the intelligence. So this is the sequence that generally we follow while writing the AI programs. So that's why here our primary duty or our primary concentration will be on the knowledge representation. Means until and unless you represent the knowledge in a proper way, you cannot make use of that knowledge in the next coming steps, in the further steps we can say. So definitely there should be a representation scheme. Means we need to follow certain kind of approaches or certain kind of schemes which will helps us in order to represent the knowledge in a proper way, so that knowledge can be used by the AI agent. And later on, these representation schemes are going to specify the form of the knowledge. So in this case, we can say that here the knowledge is represented in the English statements. Here the knowledge is represented in the form of logic. And here the knowledge is represented in the form of prologue statements. Okay, so that is all about the logic. And if you talk about the different types of knowledge, so during this today's session, we are going to talk about 4 different kinds of knowledge. Okay, so the first one is, we can say it as a declarative knowledge, and second one is the procedural knowledge. So what do you mean by declarative knowledge? So we can say that it is used to know something. We can say that declarative knowledge is used to know something. So what it is going to include? It is going to include certain kind of concepts, some facts, and also some objects. It is also going to describe about the declarative sentences. But we will take some simple example and we will come to know what this declarative knowledge is and how it looks like. So the first statement is telling that how we are going to make use of that knowledge. So is used to know something. Right? Means we can say that it is some kind of information. It is some general information. Or we can say that the general statements related to a particular domain. For example, I can say it is raining. Man is a Marcus. Okay, so these are the 2 statements which are giving some general information about its domains. So we can say that it is raining and man is a Marcus. Okay, so Sita is the mother of Gita. These kind of sentences, we say that they are the declarative sentences. If you talk in terms of knowledge, we can say that Sita is the mother of Gita, it is raining, man is a Marcus. So these kind of statements, they are just the declarative statements. Means it is just giving some kind of general information, but it is not talking anything. Means it is not talking about the logic, or it is not talking about any kind of procedure, and it is not talking about even the procedure which will be used to solve a particular problem. So we can say, in simple words, we can say that declarative knowledge is certain kind of information where we are giving some general statements, where we are going to talk about general statements about a particular domain. So we can say that these can be directly can't be applicable to a particular problem. Just these are the examples. Okay, so when it comes to procedural knowledge, so this knowledge is also called as the imperative knowledge. Also called as imperative knowledge. So it is used about how to do something. It is about how to do something, and it is ready to apply to any of the task. So this is a major difference between the declarative knowledge and the procedural knowledge. So declarative knowledge cannot be used directly in order to apply to a particular problem statement, right? But when it comes to procedural, we can say that it is a ready-made or ready to apply knowledge or ready to apply information. By using that information, simply you can solve any kind of AI problems. Okay, so that's why we can say that procedural knowledge is very, very important. Of course, even the declarative knowledge is also very, very important, but it is going to talk about only what. It is going to talk about only what, but it is going to talk about how. The procedural knowledge is going to talk about how. Okay, for example, we will try to understand these differences more with this one simple example. Okay, for example, think that for chess playing game, if you are talking about the chess playing game, so if it is a declarative knowledge representation, means if you are representing the knowledge in the form of declarative way or in the form of declarative sentences, then those sentences can be just talking about some legal moves. It's talk about the legal move 1, legal move 2, legal move 3, like that. How many legal moves are required to play the chess game? It is going to talk about only the list of those legal moves, just representing the legal moves. That's it. But the declarative representation or the declarative knowledge is not going to talk about how this legal moves can be applicable, means at what particular situation what kind of legal move need to be applied. That information we are not going to see in the declarative knowledge. But when it comes to procedural, it will not be like that. We can simply say that procedural is nothing but inclusion of the declarative knowledge as well as the control information. So what this control information will help us in order to know, means how to do something, means it is going to explain or it is going to support us in order to solve particular problem. Means if we talk about this chess playing game only, the procedural knowledge is going to tell that how and when, okay, when these legal moves can be applied, means at what particular situation what kind of legal move is applicable, and what happens if we apply that legal move in that particular state. Okay, so these kind of additional information is going to provide by the procedural knowledge. Okay, right. Let us try to take one more example. So the second example is talk about some kind of cooking. Okay, our task is to cook something, so to cook some kind of food, we can say. So for cooking, you should supposed to have certain kind of knowledge. Means if you want to make an AI agent to cook something, then we should supposed to provide the knowledge to that AI agent. So if it is the declarative knowledge, means if you are representing the declarative knowledge to do this kind of cooking, then this knowledge is going to talk about what are the different ingredients we are going to make use. And we can say that it is some kind of recipe. Okay, it is nothing but some kind of recipe, and what kind of ingredients we are going to make use to prepare this particular food. But it will not explain the procedure, how to make use of those ingredients and how to do this cooking. So that is a limitation that present in the declarative knowledge. But when it comes to procedural knowledge, it is not like that. Procedural knowledge is going to give the procedure. Okay, we can say procedural knowledge is going to give certain kind of procedure, and in this procedure it is going to clearly explain how these ingredients, or otherwise the declarative sentences mentioned in the declarative knowledge, how these need to be used, how these can be used, and how it can be solved. Means how we can make the cooking of that particular food. Okay, so this kind of information you can see in the procedural knowledge representations. Okay, so we will try to see more examples about this declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge. Okay, let us try to talk about the third kind of knowledge, which is called as meta knowledge. Here, the meta knowledge is nothing but the knowledge about the other domains. So we can understand this statement in two different perspectives. How just now we discussed that domains means it will be different kinds of domains. It can be medical domain, it can be agriculture domain, or it can be some general problem solving domains, or it can be mathematical domains. It can be mathematical domains, right? So if I say it is a meta knowledge, that knowledge is going to have the information. It is going to be the collection of information which is going to include the information related to medical, related to agriculture, general activities, and some mathematical problem solving or mathematical theorem related information. So you are going to see all these kinds of informations in the same place. So we can say that that kind of knowledge is a meta knowledge. But you try to understand one important point, that your knowledge should be specific to a particular domain whenever you are trying to apply it to solve a particular problem. Means instead of going for this group of representation of this knowledge, you should better to have the knowledge basis which you should supposed to keep only the knowledge related to only one particular domain. Means your knowledge base should need to have the knowledge which is related to either the medical or some agriculture or some mathematical theorem proving, like that. Don't try to club the different knowledge different informations in the single knowledge base. So we can say that knowledge, while preparing the knowledge, you can collect a different knowledge related to different kinds of domains. But when you are trying to apply it, you should supposed to make sure that your knowledge base should have the knowledge which is related to only one particular domain. So in this case, if we talk, there is another, if we discuss, there is another perspective in understanding this statement. So knowledge about other domains. So what do you mean by this means? For example, think that you are having already the knowledge. You are ready to apply this knowledge. But at the meantime, you have identified one more knowledge which you feel that this knowledge is more applicable to your problem domain. So in this case, what you can do, you can make use of this knowledge along with this particular knowledge. So in this case, what happens, even we can say this kind of collection of knowledge is also the meta knowledge. Okay, this is the third way of representing the knowledge, which is called as the meta knowledge. And the next one is called as the heuristic knowledge. Okay, so along with procedural, declarative, we are going to talk about meta, heuristic, and the structural. In the heuristic, what happens, it is a kind of representing of the knowledge that is provided by the experts. So who is the experts here? Who is having a clear experience, means who is having more experience in solving the problems related to a particular domain. Okay, so those people generally we call them as the experts. So generally what happens, as a part of the knowledge acquisition, we should we regularly meet with different kinds of human experts, and we will try to collect some kind of knowledge. Okay, so it is a iterative process, and it is a regular process. So if you are doing such kind of knowledge acquisition by communicating with the different kinds of human experts, then we can say such kind of knowledge representation is a heuristic knowledge representation, or such knowledge is called as the heuristic knowledge. Okay, so what this heuristic knowledge is going to have means, it is going to talk more about the rules. If we talk in terms of chess playing game, so what are the different kinds of legal moves we can do? Such kind of information we can see in heuristics kind of thing. Okay, so if you are trying to solve a particular problem, that is identifying the shortest path between the given points, then what will be the Euclidean values, or what will be the distance between the two given nodes? Such kind of information you are going to see in the heuristic knowledge representation. Okay, that's why we say that this is the knowledge which we are going to collect, or which we are going to acquire by communicating with the human experts, the experts who are the people who are expertised in particular domain. And we are going to talk about the rules which are framed. So how these rules are framed based upon the previous experiences. But only the problem with this kind of knowledge representation is, it is not going to give the guarantee that the solution what we are going to acquire will be the best solution when compared with the other solutions. Okay, so that is a biggest problem that arises in the heuristic knowledge. And next we talk about the structural knowledge representation. So in the structural knowledge, what happens, it is going to make use as a basic knowledge in the problem solving. Basic knowledge in the sense, it is going to talk about certain kinds of concepts. I mean, they are going to talk about concepts, and it is going to talk about the objects. Concepts and objects. For example, if we talk about the cooking of things, what happens if it is related to concept. So in this case, what happens, different ingredients, for example, this is ingredient 1, ingredient 2, like that we are going to have several ingredients, we are going to make use of several items, we can say. So you should supposed to understand what is the relationship that exists between the items or given ingredients. So otherwise, if such kind of relationship is not known, even if we implement the procedural knowledge, we are not going to get a very good food after doing the cooking. So what happens, such kind of relationships means, what are the relationships that exist between different concepts or different objects that is going to describe or going to explain by this structural knowledge. Okay, so these are the these are the 5 different kinds of knowledge representation types. Okay, so in general we can say that there are 5 different ways how we can represent the knowledge. One is either declarative, or either procedural, or meta, or heuristic, or structural. Let us talk about the differences between the knowledge and intelligence. Okay, so we discussed that knowledge is nothing but some kind of collection of information related to a particular domain. Okay, so here, but what happens is, in order to exhibit the intelligence, the more important thing required is knowledge. Right? So even we can say that in order to create this artificial intelligence kind of solutions to the problems, you should supposed to have the knowledge as well as the intelligence. But only the thing is, which one is first and which one is later. Knowledge is the first thing that we are going to do. That is the first step, we can say. After applying this knowledge, means the applying of knowledge is nothing but showing certain kind of intelligence. So the AI agent is going to make use of the knowledge that we have given to it, and it is going to learn through the knowledge. So based upon its learning and based upon its previous experience, the AI agent is going to exhibit its intelligence. Okay, so that is the exact difference, we can say, that exists in between the knowledge and the intelligence. So we can say that this knowledge and intelligence we are going to see when it comes with the expression of the intelligent behavior by the AI agents. So that's why we say that if we say that the AI agent is exhibiting a very intelligent behavior, that completely depends upon the knowledge you are providing. So how much quantity and how much quality of knowledge you provide, that much more intelligence that AI agent is going to show. That's why every time we say that the knowledge should not be limited. Okay, the knowledge whatever you are supplying to the AI agent should not be limited. The knowledge should give the information, whole information, we can say, the entire information related to a particular domain, and that information should be in a stage that we can make use of that information and solve the problem. Okay, so that's why make sure that the knowledge represent during the time of knowledge providing to the AI agent, the knowledge is complete and it is consistent. Okay, so an AI agent cannot function accurately. Why? Means when, at what situation this thing is going to happen, means when you are not providing the enough knowledge. Whenever you are not providing the enough knowledge, and then it is experiencing of certain inputs. For example, think that you have trained an AI agent by giving 3 different kinds of informations. But unfortunately, in the real-time cases, the AI agent has found the another kind of input. So in that case, what happens? Due to the lack of knowledge we provided, the AI agent is not going to show its intelligence. It is going to act in a different way. So in that case, what happens? Whatever the solution we have expected, means whatever the behavior that is expected from the AI agent, such kind of behavior is not going to see there. Okay, that's why we should supposed to provide enough information to the AI agent to exhibit the intelligence. Okay, so in simple words, we can say that the showing of intelligence by an AI agent completely depends upon the knowledge whatever we are supplying, means what the programmer is supplying. Okay, and we will see one more example. What is that? If you have to interact with a person and you are unable to understand this language, then definitely you will not be able to give a response or deliver any action. So this particular statement is telling that how knowledge is more important and how knowledge representation is more important in problem solving. So what happens if you are asking a particular person to have an interaction with another person and give responses? So in that case, the person should have the complete knowledge or the complete grip on a particular language. Then and only he can understand what the other person is talking, and he can give responses accordingly. If such kind of knowledge is not available, means such kind of language knowledge is not available by that to that human, to that person, then he is not going to give proper responses. Okay, so this is the same with the intelligent behavior of the agents also. If the AI agent cannot understand the knowledge whatever you have provided, so the AI, that particular AI agent is not going to exhibit any intelligence. So that's why just collecting the information is not that much important. Of course, it is important, but how you are representing that knowledge is more important. Why? Because how properly you represent the knowledge, that much properly the other people or the AI agent can understand it more clearly. Okay, so once it understands, definitely it is going to exhibit the intelligent behavior. Right? So an AI agent works by discovering the environment and applying the knowledge. That's why means the behavior of the AI agent in the real-time cases. Of course, most of the AI agents, they will work better in the laboratory conditions. But when we deploy the AI machine in the real-time cases, even it should act smart. It should show its behavior. Okay, so how it is doing? By applying the knowledge. By applying the knowledge, it is going to work by discovering the environment. It means what is the actual situation in the real-time cases, in the real-time scenario. Okay, so without that knowledge, we cannot say that the AI agent is going to exhibit the intelligent behavior. So that's why, as we are giving more importance to the knowledge acquisition, at the same time, we should supposed to give the more importance to the knowledge representation also. Okay, we can say that the better knowledge representation, the better way we can convert it into logic. The better way we can convert it into prolog statements. Okay, so we are going to see one example how and understand how this knowledge representation is converted into logic representations and later on into the prolog statements. And we talk more about this procedural and declarative. So we just now we talked about this. A declarative representation is nothing but the knowledge, means which we are providing. That is, the knowledge is specified, but we will never talk how to use it. We will never talk about how to use it. So we can consider a set of rules that represent the knowledge about the relationship in the world, and also the knowledge about how to solve the problem using the content of the rules. This kind of support we are not going to get from the declarative knowledge. But when it comes to the procedural knowledge, we are going to get such kind of support. That's why we say that in simple words, if we want to show the difference between the knowledge declarative knowledge and the procedural knowledge, simply you can use this in this statement. What is that? The procedural knowledge is going to have even the control information. It is going to provide the control information which tells how to solve a particular problem. Okay, means we can say that it is going to provide some kind of procedure which we can make use in order to solve a particular problem. So this kind of things you are not going to see in the declarative knowledge. So we can take like this: the computer programs, the directions, and the preparing of recipes. All these things comes under the procedural knowledge only. Why? Because these are going to indicate the use, or we can say the implementation. It is going to talk about more about the implementation. Okay, so the real difference between declarative and procedural view of knowledge lies in where the control information resides. So in simple words, if I say that declarative knowledge is going to talk only about the facts. Okay, the procedural knowledge is going to talk about even the predicates also. It is going to talk about even the predicates. Okay, and in other words, we can say declarative knowledge is going to talk about only some kind of objects or some kind of concepts. But the procedural knowledge is going to talk about the rules and how these rules can be applied. How these rules are applicable, or how they can be applied to solve the problem. procedural knowledge is going to describe how to solve a particular problem. And even we can say this procedural knowledge as a imperative knowledge also. Means as it is providing the procedure to solve a particular problem, even we can say that it is going to provide the direction on how to do something. We can say even this is the knowledge which we can directly apply to a particular task. So that's why we can consider that a procedural knowledge is going to have the information related about the rules, the strategies, the procedures, as well as some agendas. Let's take one example and we will try to understand in the real-time cases how this declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge will be differ. Okay, for example, think that this is the information given to us. What is that? Man Marcus, in the sense Marcus is a man, Caesar is the man, Cleopatra is the man. Okay, so what these things are talking about, these things are the facts. Facts is nothing but some general statements about a particular domain. So what it is talking about? It is saying that Marcus and Caesar are the man and Cleopatra is the person. Okay, so in terms of facts, what happens? These three things will, these two will be of one kind and this will be of another kind. Why? Because these are just the declarative sentences. But when it comes to this particular statement, what happens? It is going to talk about a particular procedure. Means we can directly apply this statement in order to know, okay, who is what. Means for example, in this case, if we are talking about is X, directly this statement, this predicate we can apply and we can understand or we can identify what this X is. Either the X is Marcus or is the Caesar or the Cleopatra. So let us try to observe this one. Try to answer the question, what is that? Person of Y. Means by making use of the knowledge provided here, we should suppose to identify who is the person. Means Y, who is Y here? Means Y is either Marcus, Caesar or Cleopatra. Right? But what happens based upon the knowledge what we have given? Okay, so there is a possibility that Y can be Marcus, Y can be Caesar and Y can be Cleopatra. But the answer is going to be different. Means if you are using a declarative knowledge, the answer is going to be different. And if you are using the procedural knowledge, the answer is going to be different. How? For example, if it is a declarative knowledge, it is going to come from top to bottom. It is going to come from top to bottom. So in the sense what happens, which one is appearing first, that is going to be the answer for this question in the declarative representation, in the through using declarative knowledge. So what happens? You are asking about this one, person of Y. So if you are coming from the topmost, what is this? This one is man. It is not matching. This one is man. It is not matching. But when it comes to person, it is matching. So whenever this kind of information is given, then the answer for this person of Y is going to be the Cleopatra. This answer we are going to get. Why? Because that is the first appeared one in the knowledge. Okay, but what happened here? You observe this one. This is even called as a control knowledge or control information, we can say. It is a control information. This control information we can see only in the predicate procedural knowledge representation. So what this control knowledge is, control information is talking about the person, X. If X is a man, even X is going to be a person. If X is a man, X is going to be even the person. Means there is no difference between a man and a person in this case. So if you are implementing the procedural knowledge, and the answer you are going to get is Marcus. So in this case, what happened? The answer is going to be differ. When we are implementing the declarative knowledge, the answer we got is Cleopatra. And when we are implemented the procedural knowledge, the answer what we got is Marcus. Okay. So like this, it is going to be differ based upon the different kinds of knowledge representations. So in this case, what happened? We could able to get, means there are 3 different possible outcomes. Okay, but it completely depends. Means if your problem domain is talking about to generate all the possible outcomes, then it is fine. But sometimes what happens, there will be some problem domains which talk about a specific outcome. So what happens, you see, we get more than one value that satisfies the predicate. Okay, right? Means in the procedural knowledge representation, all are true only. Means Y can be Marcus, Y can be Caesar, and Y can be Cleopatra. So how many possible outcomes we got? 3 possible outcomes we got. But what happens if there is a chance of only to get one particular value? So in that case, what happens? It is going to depend completely on the order in which the assertions has been examined. Means during our search process, what is the first one we encounter, that is going to be the answer. When you are looking only for one possible outcome. Of course, if you are looking for different outcomes, all the outcomes, then all are going to come. If the assertions are declarative, then do not themselves say anything about how they will be examined. Just now we discussed it. Declarative knowledge is not going to talk about the concept of how. It is going to talk only about what. Okay. In case of procedural representations, what happens? It is going to talk about how they will examine. This kind of procedure is also going to be included in the procedural knowledge. Coming to the declarative knowledge, it is going to describe what is about a problem. It is going to describe about what, and it tells about the facts about what the things are. So this declarative knowledge is going to include some concepts, some facts, some objects, and it is also going to talk about some declarative sentences that we have already seen. So we can say that even this declarative knowledge is also called as the descriptive knowledge also. A statement in which the knowledge specified, but the use to which what the knowledge is to be put is not given, we can consider it as a declarative knowledge. So we can say that the laws related to particular court and the names of the people, these are the nothing but some kind of facts. So why we are calling as facts? Why? Because they are the independent statements. They are the independent statements, or we can say they are the independent sentences. Man is a Marcus. It is raining. Okay, so these kind of sentences are completely independent to each other. That's why if you represent such kind of sentences as a standalone one, means not related to any of the other statements, then we say such kind of standalone statements are the facts. Okay, why? Because they are not going to be dependent on any other knowledge. So the use of declarative knowledge, we must have a program that explains what is to do with the knowledge and how. Means if you are concentrating on writing of a AI program, so definitely there should be a certain kind of representation, right, which can clearly talk about, which can clearly explain what is to do, means what we need to do and how we need to do. So these two things need to be included while writing the AI program. Okay, so these are the references I have made use in order to prepare this content about this procedural knowledge and the declarative knowledge. And in the next lecture, we will try to cover the concept called as Introduction to the Logic Programming. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.